Hello and welcome to Game Theory. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Today, we're going to break down Jalen Duren. He had a 23-point, 15 rebound, 5 assists game over the weekend against the Chicago Bulls that was pretty terrific. And I want to talk a little bit about why he is such an intriguing prospect across the spectrum. He has been incredibly productive at this point throughout the season through 3 games. He has been one of the most efficient finishers at the basket. He's dished out a number of assists. He's had some issues with turnovers that he got under control in this game against Chicago. And defensively, he is a really intriguing prospect that I really want to dive into the weeds on, because he's somebody that I've had a little bit of a degree of skepticism while also acknowledging the immense ceiling that he possesses due to his athletic tools. He is damn near 7 foot tall with a 7'5" wingspan and all sorts of bouncy athleticism that we'll get a chance to watch throughout the course of these clips. So let's dive in. Let's talk about Jalen Duren, and let's talk about why he has been so impactful so far for the Detroit Pistons this season. So first up, this is literally the first possession of the game. We've got Killian Hayes on the side. If you notice, first action from Duren, he's going to set just this little zipper screen here. After Cade sets a little screen here and then comes up to go get the ball. And then after that, Duren is going to come up himself and set a screen. I can't remember if he comes up the left or the right. So we're going to watch this come through. There's your zipper. There's your screen. And it's a beautiful pocket pass. And look, he misses this one, but that's fine. Like this is a beautiful, beautiful action to start the game. Duren's going to come up. He's actually going to set the screen on this side. And what Duren does really well is slips screens. That tends to be his preferred style of getting to the rim and rolling. He wants to slip screen actions, sometimes, in my opinion, to the detriment of his ball handler. And we'll talk about that throughout this video. I would love it if Jalen Duren would make a little bit more contact on his screens. That is something that for a 19-year-old is incredibly fixable. And I think that it's worth noting throughout the course of this video that anything I talk about with Jalen Duren, he is 19 years old and he has all of the physical tools in the world outside of shooting from distance, in my opinion, right now. There is very little that this dude can't do on a basketball court if he doesn't put his mind to it. So anything that is a criticism here, this could be gone within a year, within 6 months, within 2 years, whatever. But it's worth kind of discussing why I think I've been just a little bit hesitant to just jump 100% in on board with the Jalen Duren hype train, even while acknowledging that the ceiling is absolutely all-star level, and I think he has an immense amount of talent. So he's going to come up. He's going to set this screen. This is an excellent screen from Duren. I would venture this is probably the best screen he sets throughout this game. This is a great roll here to the rim. And he just misses. That's okay. This is, if you're going to notice, Zach LaVine does a really, really good job here of tagging in off of Asar Thompson, a guy that we've talked about in the Cade video that we did recently as a bit of a non-shooter, somebody that you can help off of in general. So LaVine gets there on time, even though Duren has out-leveraged and has beaten Nikola Vucevic, another guy that we will talk a lot about in this video. Because LaVine is on time, he gets Duren just slightly off of his window here. Misses the lefty layup. He wouldn't miss many shots. I don't know if I have another missed shot from Duren in this set of clips, but not the best start, but it was, in general, interesting to me that they decided to start the game trying to run this little action with a pocket pass from Cade Cunningham to get Jalen Duren the ball. Next up here, 10 minutes left in the first. Jalen Duren is defending now. He is right here. And you're going to see DeMar reject this screen action. And then he's going to go post Asar Thompson. He's going to try and teach the rookie a lesson. And he's just able to wedge around and eventually get to the bucket. So why did I put this one on here? In my opinion, one general concern I have with Jalen Duren is that he tends to not be as available in help side defense as other good young bigs who I think are plus defenders. This is not his fault. This one I think is a little bit rough. I would like to see him help here, but this is one where I think that as he sees Vooch kind of try and roll around him here, and this is an ugly screen because of the flash bulb that went off clearly. As he sees DeRozan here get an angle on Asar and starts to see Vooch try and work his way around him, I would like to see Duren slide this way with his left arm able to cut off a potential pass to Vooch as the dump off, and his right arm be able to play a little bit more vertically. Generally, I think that he is just not quite as available and help as I would love to see a big of his physical tool set. This is one where he is just late here. Like he needs to be, here by now and rotating over. He can't just be making his first step right now. He's a little late, and that's okay because he's going to play exceptionally well throughout the course of this game. And he's young. He's 19. Worth noting. This one here, side ball screen from Isaiah Stewart. They love to run these actions with Isaiah to try and get him a little post touch, right? So what this is going to turn into is Isaiah Stewart screening, hoping that DeMar DeRozan here and Kobe White here end up having to peel switch this, right? Where I don't think that they are hoping that they're going to have to switch this. I think they're trying to play a bit more of an ice or a drop here, and they end up just switching it a little bit softly. But because you do that, you now have Kobe White on Isaiah Stewart. And they love to be able to throw this ball back to Jalen Duren and let him try to make the play. They flip the action here. This is something the Pistons do really well on the backside of plays. Watch what Killian Hayes and Asar Thompson are going to do. They're going to flip. Asar is going to come up here. And what that does is it puts a lot of pressure on these two guys to figure out who the low man is, who is going to help. After Isaiah Stewart gets this seal position on Kobe White, because these two have flipped with Asar coming up, Killian Hayes going down. You can see Zach LaVine is looking at it and he's like, oh shit, like this is probably my help here. I probably need to go down and get there. Patrick Williams just ends up looking on. Again, another common theme throughout the course of this game. Next up, very high ball screen here. And this is where we start to get into what is scheme and what is Duren on defense. So it's very clear after watching all of the Pistons games so far that they are telling Jalen Duren that they generally on drop scenarios want him in this area defensively. They want him to start possessions right around here, I would say. Now, what you're going to see, unfortunately, in my opinion, is that I would just like to see him be a little bit more active in these moments. I think he is retreating, and he's on his heels the whole time. And I do like here what Zach LaVine does. Zach LaVine is stretching him a little bit, forcing him to come this way just a little bit more, and then throwing this pocket pass here to Vooch. But I just feel like he's a little bit too prone, Jalen Duren this is, to getting on his heels in drop. Like there's one on his heels, there's one on his heels there. This is all fixable. Again, this is all doable. I just would like to see him be a little bit more active. And I think if he was a little bit more active and ready, he wouldn't be taking this big elongated drop step to try and get to Vooch. By the time Vooch is getting ready to release this ball, it's already gone. Like Duren is not really impacting this shot from Vooch in the way that you would want him to, in my opinion. Yes, this is a floater from Nikola Vucevic. He's at least in front, which means he can't drive to the rim. But this is a shot that I would expect Vooch to make at least 45, 50% of the time. Again, positioning wise, this is okay. I just think he could stand to be a little bit more active and drop. This is a shot that Vooch should make, I think. Next. Again, drop, you can see. He actually backs off as he sees this middle ball screen here from Vooch to get into this zone, right? This is very clearly coaching. This is not Jalen Duren. This is where they want him. Now, he peels off. And Asar ends up kind of stuck on this screen momentarily. And it's just kind of a 6-step back. I mean, look at how much space he ends up generating here. This is an ocean of space for somebody like Zach LaVine. He had a monster game in this game. But again, he's just back on his heels. If he's active, even if he's in drop at this level, right? Even if they're going to play him like at this level where his front foot is right now, if he's a little bit more active and like bouncing around a little bit more and like trying to make it seem like, okay, am I going to, maybe come out? Am I going to do something else? It just allows LaVine to get into a little bit more rhythm. Look at how rhythmic that step back is. He knows exactly what move he's going to get to right off of coming off of this screen, right? He knows right now what he's going to do. And in my opinion, it's because Duren is on his heel, on his back foot. Arms are up, but they aren't really up. Like they're kind of down. There's just not much that he's going to do here to impact the play, which means it's all on Asar to be able to fight back in front. These things are synergistic. I just think there's a little bit more room for him to be a little bit more active in ball screen defense, in my opinion. So next. That's a lot of harping on things for Jalen Duren. I swear he played really well in this game, and we're going to get to those moments. This one here slips the ball screen, and this is what Jalen Duren, I think, can do really well now. This is an awesome, awesome, awesome pass. They started at a certain point in the first half running Jalen Duren almost as like a point initiator with him bringing the ball up the court a little bit, where he would kind of either get the team into a DHO. There's one coming where he's just going to drive Nikola Vucevic to the rim. This one, he's going to get to the DHO with Cade. And at this point, it's too late, right? Once you get him downhill like this, there are very few forces that can get downhill as strongly on a screen action like this as Jalen Duren. And you're going to see here, I love that DeMar steps up. He's ready to help. LaVine steps up because he thinks DeMar might need some help because this is an immense downhill force. And that pass is just outstanding. That is not an easy pass for a big to make. He gets that ball quickly. I think Jalen Duren's hands are absolutely outstanding. That is the main difference, in my opinion, between him and somebody like Andre Drummond. Jalen Duren's hands are absolutely remarkable. He catches everything quite softly and he gathers very quickly, and it allows him to make plays very effectively. So he's even going to catch this and he's going to throw it all in one motion. It's not an easy pass. It's not an easy pass at all. I just love that he catches and he's seeing with his peripheral vision already what's happening. So if Asar goes, he's got him. Fantastic stuff. Absolutely fantastic from Duren. This next one here. Again, trailer for Duren. Pat Williams is just watching in the corner again. I will at least note, look to give Pat Williams at least a slight benefit of the doubt. So it looks like here that they're going to send Jaden Ivey to the corner and have Stewart come up here, but instead they switch, which gives that momentary consideration of, hey, am I the low man? Is Zach LaVine going to be the low man? By now, I think Pat Williams should frankly have it figured out that he's going to have to guard here. This is a situation where Pat Williams just has to be here. He has to be rotating over here. It's not really another excuse, but this is Jalen Duren video. This is not a Pat Williams video. And what I want you to see here is Jalen Duren just very comfortable with the ball. That's a quick little hesitation, right? Like that's very simple. But when you know you've got a mismatch, you go. And I love it. I love the way he's just able to go and attack off the bounce. This is a horn set here. Drummond into a rescreen action. Drummond scores off of it. Let's see why I put that one on there by watching Jalen Duren. So Duren is here. This is kind of a pistol action, it looks like, out of a horn set where I think that's DeMar is going to come up and somebody's going to come set a screen, right? Is that what's about to happen? Yep. Drummond is about to come and set a screen, and then he rescreens across here with almost like a step up looking kind of thing. And in my opinion here, I think that Duren is just a little late to react. No, he's not that late. This is actually an okay rep from Duren. Again, he's not really like impacting anything. He's just cutting off angles where he can. And then, I mean, like you would hope that he can get better with verticality to where he feels like he can go up without fouling. I think that's actually why I put this on now that I'm thinking about it. Jalen Duren, in general, as a rim protector, is very strong and physical. He is very good at using his chest when he's on the ground to try and like be strong and inch somebody out if he can. Against bigs, however, if somebody can go into his chest like this and he's a little bit worried about fouling, for instance, you watch somebody like Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren has the ability to slide down, use his hips flip his hips, and then jump up while retreating and going up in a straight line to be able to protect the rim, right? I don't think Duren, for instance, whose hand is only going to get this high as Andre Drummond is this high and is releasing the ball. I don't think he is quite as impactful as a rim protector as he could be at some point as he continues to grow fundamentally and in terms of coaching and in terms of just overall development. That's the real worry right now, is that Duren's overall defensive impact is just not quite as active or as impactful around the basket as what you would like to see from somebody who has all this athleticism, all of these tools, all of this length, right? So this one now, this is going to be a horn set here for people who don't know when I say horns. You know, you've got the point guard here, you've got two men here on the foul line elbow area, and then you've got two in the corner. Duren goes up, sets the screen, flashes up to the top. Screens, sets a rescreen, and slips it. He's just very fast with his short area movements in a way that allows him to get that little bit of separation oftentimes. So here, he's going to be able to recognize the dribble handoff. Javon Carter's doing a great job pressuring Cade Cunningham here. Going to set the rescreen, and he's going to slip the screen as soon as he sees that Andre Drummond is going to play that high here. And he's going to hope that Cade can hit him in the pocket pass area. Cade does just that. Great hands here. Great. Not just good hands, great hands to catch this below your waist when your body is positioned like this. This is fantastic from Jalen Duren. This is not an easy catch for a big. Torrey Craig comes, fouls him. He goes to the line, knocks down some free throws. Next up, Duren is right here. Going to come up and look at where he's setting his level at the screen. Right there, setting his level of the drop. I'm sorry. This is clearly, and again, I just want to mention, this is scheme. This is what Jalen Duren is very clearly being told to do, is set his drop right around the elbow area. So here, I think he does a great job of being active with his hand. He went for a little swipe on DeRozan there. DeRozan is almost always trying to get into this area somewhere to try and pull up for a little 16, 18 footer. If you're not active in any way, shape, or form, you are going to let him have it. This is one where, yes, Javon Carter makes a three, but I think this is a good rep by Jalen Duren. And if I'm going to call out some of the ones where I'm a little bit questionable on it, I want to be clear with the ones that I think he does well. I think this was a good rep that just ended in, because DeMar DeRozan is such an effective mid-range player, Asar Thompson has to help in a little bit here in this area so that DeMar can't string this out and just get to the shot here. And it ends in a three. But again, I think that Duren does a solid job there in drop coverage. Here we're going to see Duren. This is one where he picked up Torrey Craig in transition. And the ball, I think that like Javon Carter kind of drove this ball in and then like had to kick it out to, I think that might be Io there. And then Torrey Craig is here. And that's who Jalen Duren is guarding. Duren does a great job sliding his feet. One thing for bigs that can be a little bit difficult that I think showcases Duren's overall coordination is look at the cross step there. He's going to be here. Looks like Torrey Craig has kind of an angle into the rim. And I want you to watch Jalen Duren's left foot. He's going to cross it over his right foot there. And that allows him to keep his chest in front. Watch the cross step. Then he's able to drop his hips, get his chest right here. And this is where Jalen Duren wants to live. On drives against him, right there. Great rep there by Jalen Duren in on-ball defense. Again, if I'm going to call out some of the activity stuff, I want to call out a lot of the positives that he has as well. This next one here, Asar Thompson. I pulled this one because it's an example of Duren not quite doing a good enough job making contact on screens, in my opinion. I would like to see him be able to catch Ayo Dosunmu here. And part of the reason why I think he doesn't do a great job in DHOs a lot of the time of making contact is that there isn't really a mesh point here. He is throwing this dribble handoff here. Cade is going to catch it like right in this area. That's a big, big gap to be able to shoot through if you're the defender to be able to recover. It's just a big gap. You're making it harder on yourself as the screener if you're leaving this big of a mesh point on your dribble handoffs. That's way too much space for Ayo to get through. And they're able to just run this pretty simply. And then it eventually ends in a missed Isaiah Stewart 3. Just a small thing. I think that there stands to be a lot of room for growth in the way that Jalen Duren screens. This one here going to be a double drag in semi-transition. You've got Isaiah Stewart. You've got Jalen Duren. I think we know what's coming here on a lot of these ones. Again, does not make contact on the screen, but doesn't matter. Slips it perfectly. I also want to point out what's happening here where they're overloading this side of the court, basically, with Duren, with all four of their players over there. I think Burks might be on now. Because of that, you only have one man on this side of the court as Cade comes off of a screen here, which means as Duren is rim running, Torrey Craig here is the low man who is responsible for helping there. Typically, the low man is, a lot of the time at least, in a normally spaced NBA court, is coming from the corner. But here, this is a really tough ask for Torrey Craig. He has to make this decision because of the ground that Jalen Duren covers so quickly. He has to make this decision here to bump him very quickly. And if he's even a split second late, it's over, right? Here, there's just no attempt to tag whatsoever. Duren gets all the way to the rim. Cade feeds him. Easy bucket. Next up, now we're in the third quarter here. This is one where Vooch is going to come up. And looks like Duren is just kind of waiting here. He tries to get into position and actually does a pretty good job. Hands are wide. He's ready. Again, if you go into his body as a driver, because he is not really jumping oftentimes, I think that you can take advantage of him as a rim protector. It's not an easy shot from Zach LaVine by any stretch, but this just ends up not being a contest at the end of the day. You would like to see any circumstance where there are contests. This one here is a fun out of bounds play. So we'll run it through once. Yeah, I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous from Jalen Duren. Unbelievable athleticism. So what is this play? You're going to see a zipper screen here from Isaiah Stewart. Cade is going to come around. We're going to see Duren come up. That's a bad line. We're going to see Duren come up, set a screen. I think he's a little higher than that, honestly, when he sets the screen. He's going to come up and set a screen like here, and then he's going to roll. This is nothing all that complicated. But it's run really well. And because Cade gets him the ball early, he can just get downhill and go, right? These are two guys right here. This isn't that poorly defended. Like, yeah, you'd maybe like to see Pat Williams, like, maybe have his like left foot here and like be able to like really try and like use his chest against Jalen. But when Jalen Duren gets downhill, there is no stopping that dude. That is a dunk. That's an and one. There is just not much that can be done about that. That's a great set by Detroit. That is fantastic work by Jalen Duren to get all the way to the rim and finish. Yeah, this is where it really starts to kick into gear for Duren. This next one here gets a little over aggressive, ends up resulting in a Zach LaVine 3. The over aggression is not something I have a problem with, honestly. Like, I know that this is probably a stupid play from Jalen Duren, but I love that he's active here. I love that he's aggressive. The issue for me, I think, is that it seems like, to me at least, I'm not sure where the communication is between Cade and Duren. It looks like Cade is trying to point somewhere. Duren, it looks like, is just trying to recover back. To me, in my opinion, this should probably just be a peel, where after Duren gets this far out of the play. I know that LaVine is coming around, and it looks like they're trying to set like almost a split play where you throw the ball into Vooch here. And you just get this beautiful like little wrap screen here for DeMar to come down and get this ball from Vooch. But because Duren ends up like in this area here, they end up calling off that, and LaVine just decides, oh shit, I should just end up popping right off of this screen action. I think that you should just be peeling this personally, but maybe they have a rule in Detroit, like where they're trying to peel switch as little as possible. I'm not, in their room. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're saying. So in my opinion, it would make more sense to peel that, but that's one where I like the activity. I like the aggression. I think there just needs to be a little bit more communication on defense between the two, and that results in the 3. And ultimately, you don't really want to see him go for broke and end up nowhere. Next up here, Duren again, screen. You're going to get the cut from Killian Hayes. And again, I just don't know what Pat Williams is doing there. I just, yeah, I'm not real sure. So obviously, look, Asar Thompson is not Pat Williams' guy, right? Zach LaVine is guarding Asar Thompson. You would hope that LaVine could get a body on him. But as this ball is getting there, I would like to see Pat Williams maybe be a little bit more aggressive here. And he just like works his way out of the play. Pat Williams is not a great rebounder, and he's just not there right now, unfortunately. Next up here, great work by Duren, by the way. This is Jalen Duren video. I'm sorry about that. I love how Duren's engaged and active and always looking for the ball here. Great job by Jalen Duren, always being there, being ready, being waiting. Next up here. This is a good rep in drop, in my opinion, up until the final product where he just keeps retreating. And because it seems like Jalen Duren's kind of first mindset right now in screens is to retreat in general. So Vooch is just going to move, right? Like the whole thing Vooch is trying to do here, he's just trying to be on the move, right? He's just trying to get rolling, trying to get this thing as active as he can, right? Great screen here on Amen Thompson. And he just opens up this angle for no real reason. I don't know why he opens up the angle there. I would like to see him try and get his chest in front of LaVine. I guess it's not impossible that Detroit is telling Duren to try to feed him into the help whenever he sees that there are help defenders here. But those two guys on the 3-point line there are shooters. And there just isn't really any point where he ends up being remotely close to making contact. Like that is a lot of space he is giving Zach LaVine. And I get it that he's playing 2-on-1 here. He is responsible for Vooch as a roller, as well as LaVine here. But this is where the communication stuff for the Pistons, I think, could stand to be a little bit better. I would love to see maybe Isaiah Stewart, be ready here with like a bit more of a, yell out that he's got a tag here on Vooch, especially guarding Pat Williams, who has not been existent in this game. I would love to see even like, again, maybe they have a rule where they're trying to limit peel switches as much as possible. You could yell out a peel switch here for Asar Thompson. There are a lot of different things that you could do, but what ends up happening there where that's just like kind of an in rhythm, open left-handed layup for Zach LaVine, where he is getting higher at his release point than Jalen Duren. Just to point that out. Ball is here. Duren's hand is like there. It's just not quite good enough across the board for me. But again, the Pistons have been very good defensively throughout the course of this season. Look, the Bulls are at 57 already with like 9 minutes left in the third quarter. The scoring slows down for the Bulls here. Scoring really is going to slow down here. And we're going to talk about that as well. This play here, fade 3, and you're just going to see Duren just work his way, and just out hustle Nikola Vucevic. Just out hustling him. Out high points the ball, works hard, goes to get the rebound. Great work. Just Great work by Jalen Duren. I don't really have anything else to add there. That's high energy. That's motor. What I do have to add, though, is what happens after. We got 1, we got 2, we got 3, we got 4. That should be a 2. We got 5. We got another one there. 6. Look at these dudes all coming over to pick this guy up after the way he's playing in this game. I love it. I absolutely love it. Deserves the pickup. Has been fantastic throughout the course of this game. Next play. Vooch comes to get the ball. And this is one where I think that this got called for a foul, by the way. And it was a foul because he got him with his lower body. This is one where Duren's positioning in drop defense just gets way out of alignment here. So I think he thinks when Levine goes to the left here a little bit, he jumps that way, right? You saw him jump that way, just a touch. And once he jumps that way, Levine's coming off this screen. And he is way over here. He is way over here. It's not perfect right now for Duren. It's just not. That ends up being a foul. It's too much ground to cover. It's not perfect right now for him on defense. He is struggling a little bit with positioning. He's struggling a little bit with his verticality, his help instincts. He destroys the defensive glass, but it's not all roses for Duren on defense right now. I think there's a ways to go, and it's okay. Okay. He's 19, and it takes time for guys to be good on defense for the most part. Next up here. Again, to me, this is like scheme more than anything else. I don't really put this on Duren. Again, Duren is here. I would imagine this is where Detroit in dribble handoffs and ball screens. Again, we've watched countless clips of him in ball screens. They want him in this area. To me, this is just the end result of that. This is scheme. He gets kind of a late contest on Vooch. I know Vooch makes it, but this is more of a scheme thing to me than anything. And again, like I guess you could point to, he's walking, hands are just coming out now. He's on his heels here. You wouldn't love to see him, not be on his heels again, right? But he's dropping back to get into the area that the coaching staff is telling him there. So I'm not going to put too much of a blame on Duren for that one. Next, call out a switch. Just wanted to put that on there. Good communication from Duren here. He's in the corner, and you're going to see his left arm fly out. Look at that. They're calling out. They're communicating. He and Asar, that's two 19 and 20-year-olds right there, calling out what they want to do. Next, here comes Duren, and he's just late on the help, in my opinion. Just a little late on that help. Another thing I want to note is they switch again. Pat Williams to the corner. DeMar up to the wing. Duren communicating. Communication is good. I love it. They're talking. They're trying to make things happen. They're trying to make it work. He shoves Asar up to the wing. He's talking. He's trying to get guys active and aggressive. That's what we like to see. That guy right there, Jalen Duren, needs to be their backline communicator and talker, right? If you're playing center and you're the last line of defense, especially in drop, you need to be talking. Now, this one, because of what happens out top up here with Burks and Kobe White, Again, I think that they're just switching here, it seems like, uh, based off of the fact that they're switching all of those communications. They soft switched this Kobe White Vooch screen here. And Vooch just goes and takes Alec Burks down onto the block. If that's going to happen, Duren just has to be like when you're guarding Pat Williams, who hasn't scored in this game, and you just have to be here. I think you have to be here, waiting to double. You see that Alec Burks is stuck on Vooch. I think you got to be there. You got to just be aware of what's happening and help. And because he's a little bit late, Vooch gets this layup. That's tough. It's not great in the help side, but I love the communication. I love the talking. I love that he is trying to help his teammates, help a rookie get to the right spots, right? That's good. That's leadership. That's what you need to see from a young, growing center. I think he just needs to be a little bit more aware of what's happening around him and be able to help across the board defensively. This one here, look at that. That's great. That's great. And then the help block. That's fantastic. Look at this one here. So they're going to run a little action at the top between Levine and Drummond. You're going to see here, he's going to get into his area. And look how he's on his toes here. I want to point that out too. This is when he's active. This is when he's rolling, right? Like here, he's staying in front. Look at him move his feet, right? Instead of taking these like big, huge strides, he's moving his feet, right? He's staying in front, chest in front, and then he goes to help and cleans it up, right? Sees that again, this has resulted in a peel switch, which, by the way, let's call that out too, because I think Duren, look at that. Look at this. You see him opening his mouth. He's talking, right? Watch his mouth. He's talking to Alec Burks at the top there. He's talking to him. He's letting him know what's going on. That's great. That is great stuff from Duren. That's what you want to see. Now, do you see that little point there too? To me, right before he puts his hand out, I think he's pointing that this has to be a peel to Burks because of how deep Ayodesumu got on the drive. So again, talking. Burks is there, and then he goes and helps and cleans up. That's, if not the best defensive possession I've seen Jalen Duren play this year, it's damn close. Everything there is perfect. And again, if I'm going to call out some of the inactivity, I want to call out when he is really good. That is a possession to grow from. That is fantastic. That's what we're looking for from Jalen Duren, right? So next one here. This is one where he's just inching his way out, and then he's got the eyes up, right? So Cade is going to drive here, and just look at where, this is where Andre Drummond gets contact on him, right? Right at that spot. Let's see how far, wait, let's draw that again. Let's see how far Jalen Duren drives him. Camera moved, but we were at right there. We're what, 13 feet from the rim? Something in that ballpark when Drummond gets contact on him. Look at where this rebound is. Look at where he goes up for it. He's right at the semicircle. We went from like here to here, driving back a 270-pound center in Andre Drummond. That's what Jalen Duren can do. And oh, by the way, off of it, he's got the eyes up, right? Eyes are up. I think he heard Alec Burks, sees him in the corner. You can see the vision, right? It's fantastic. It's fantastic from Jalen Duren. Drills the shot, celebrates, deserves it. This is just a sick set. This is sick. This is awesome from the Bulls. In my opinion, if I was, coaching against the Detroit Pistons, which God, I absolutely should not be. This is the kind of stuff I would run more. This is absolutely the kind of stuff I would run more. So what's happening here? So we're going to see a quick little weave out top where Javon's going to come this way with the ball. And then I believe that we're going to get a quick little ball screen here from Andre Drummond, right? As Javon Carter comes back this way. Or does he throw it back? No, he throws it back to Sumo. And this is where the set is pretty fun. So this is going to be like a pretty typical veer action here, right? Where throws it, Javon's going to go set the screen. Then we're going to see Zach LaVine come up. We're going to see Dosunmu go here. We're going to see Drummond go here. Set that screen. Let's do this the right way. He's going to set the screen here. And then he's going to set this little veer screen right here. For Zach LaVine. That's an awesome set from the Bulls. And the reason I would do more of this is because of the way that the Pistons are telling Jalen Duren to operate. They're telling him to operate very clearly in this area. Again, I don't blame Jalen Duren for this open three. This is a scheme three. Like, yes, he's probably too deep here. Like, he's definitely too deep in his drop here already, right? You would like, again, if he was a little bit more active on his feet, he could be up here, right? But these actions where you can get, because Duren tends to get his feet stuck in the mud a little bit too often, these actions out top where you can get somebody open for a three with an off-ball screen. You know, you could do it with a flare. You could do it with this little veer action, right? Like, you could do a lot of different things. I think that's what's going to be open, especially when Alec Burks is on the court, because Alec Burks has been fantastic offensively and is a huge part of why they've been successful, but his defense could use some work. That's the kind of stuff I'd be running if I was coaching against the Pistons right now. This one here, this is fun because you're going to see this is one of my favorite little sets of clips here. So Jalen Duren, I'm going to set this little cross screen here for Isaiah Stewart. Stewart is going to come through the play. I'll let it run all the way through. And then we're going to slip and finish, right? So what is this play? Been trying to find this in a playbook. If somebody has this exact action name, let me know. But I love the action, and you're going to see they run it at 10:34 in the fourth. That's just a little cross screen there. Isaiah Stewart's going to clear out. Duren's going to come up. He's going to flip the screen here. Cade's going to come across. And then after Duren flips, he's going to the rim. And what this action does is it's going to put an immense amount of pressure on Ayo Dosunmu here. Why Ayo Dosunmu? Because as he follows, Ayo now becomes the low man in this action and has to be, as his momentum is going this way because of the clear action from Alec Burks there. It wasn't Isaiah Stewart. I'm sorry. It was Alec Burks. Because his momentum is going this way following, he now has to get back here to tag Jalen Duren. And there is just not enough time in the world to do that. So the next time down the court, what are we going to run? What are we going to run? We're going to run the same thing. It's going to start a little higher because Jalen Duren's trailing. But again, Burks is going to come around after Duren sets a little cross screen, right? And what happens there leads to a wide open three. But what happened this time? Off of the clear, and because I love the way that Burks sets this up. Burks sets this up basically as a counter where he goes slower out of this one than he did the first time. And then Cade is getting there quicker off of the screen, which is where Jalen Duren is going to roll into this open space. But because he goes slower, Alec Burks, that is, because he goes slower through the action, Torrey Craig, who has now switched on to Alec Burks, is already in the lane. Because he's already there, he knows what happened last play. He's going to tag Jalen Duren, or this is another dunk, especially Zach LaVine on the low side, on the strong side. And then Cade just drills Alec Burks. That's the pressure of gravity. When people talk about gravity from rim rollers and rim runners and screen and roll men, that's what they're talking about. Look at how deep Zach LaVine gets this time. Look at how deep Torrey Craig gets this time. And my goodness, look at this ocean of space between anybody on the Bulls and Alec Burks. Alec Burks, 40% three-point shooter. That shot's probably 65% for Alec Burks. That is wide open. That is money. Too easy. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic counter that I think is built a large part by Burks going just a little bit slower out of that action, but also mostly by Duren's gravity in terms of what he's creating there. Next up. Again, this is Duren being just a little bit on his heels here. And I want to point out where I think Zach LaVine ends up deciding to pull this and go for a three. So we're here. Duren's feet very close together. He takes that little drop step there. He takes that little shuffle step and that little drop, and LaVine's going, right? This is a point where LaVine can still dribble. He still has all faculties and decisions to go here. As soon as he sees that foot, that's how quick it is for great NBA scorers. That's how quick it is. Trying to get LaVine. He sees it go, and then he pulls. And that's just a hard closeout at that point for Duren. Again, that, to me, that's more scheme than Duren. Like, I think Duren, again, I've said it ad nauseum, could stand to be more active, but like that's scheme more than anything. Next up here, on the block, defending Nikola Vucevic. I know that Vucevic makes this, but I put this on here because A, good post defense to start. Duren can definitely do that. He's strong enough to be that. Second, I love the help. I love that he comes. He is a little bit late. He's a little late. Not a lot late, just a little late. But because he helps, it ends up like on the floor. It's bobbling. He makes them make that extra pass. When you make guys make the extra pass, good things happen. This time, Vucevic makes the shot, but I love the help. Look, That was good process. That was solid. There's nothing Jalen Duren I would have him do differently there. That's good. Sometimes NBA players make shots, right? But that's good help. You'd like him to be maybe a little bit earlier, right? Maybe have his left hand into the passing lane. But I like that he's at least there and he's at least jumping to try and help. This one here is just going to be a little split action for Javon Carter. The Bulls adjusted and started running these things, right? Where they got Levine the shot early. You're going to see Craig, who just took a ball screen. Now he's going to set this screen here for Carter. Carter's going to come around. Alec Burks is like, for some reason, maybe they're just not treating Javon Carter as a shooter. He decides to go under here. Vucevic sets the screen. This is one where, again, I don't know what the Pistons are telling Jalen Duren. They might be telling him, stay back, let these guys shoot threes. Totally plausible, right? I think that's probably one where he should come out and contest personally, but if he does that, you're into all sorts of rotation. Look, again, I don't know what they're telling him. To me, this is, again, like kind of a scheme open three. And teams, I think, are going to start running actions out high like this to get open shots. Like they play the Thunder on Tuesday. I mean, I'm just like running every minute that Isaiah Joe is on the court. I'm running stuff like this where it's veer actions, split actions, just trying to make it so that he can get open threes. Because I think that the Pistons will give those to him. And while the Bulls don't have somebody other than Levine that can make them consistently, at least, the Thunder certainly do. This one here, 6:30 left in the fourth. They put 2 on the ball. He comes up, rescreens. No one gets a body on him. That's what he does. He's a great offensive rebounder. He is a fantastic offensive rebounder. Who should be getting a body on him, in my opinion? Honestly, it should probably be DeMar DeRozan. I don't know if the end result is any different if DeMar DeRozan gets a body on him necessarily. Still Jalen Duren against DeMar DeRozan. Probably not going to go well for the Bulls, right? But he's constantly there. He's ready. He has great touch around the basket with that right hand. Finishes easily. Next one here. 5:50 left in the fourth. Isaiah Stewart being guarded by DeMar DeRozan. Yes, that is why they ran that. So, as we've noted throughout the game, they've been running these little zipper actions, right? Where Isaiah Stewart going to come down, set that screen, right? I think they've only done it once prior to this in the game. The goal here is, Killian's going to come down here and then he's going to throw the ball to Cade typically. And, you're going to get into a set. Probably Duren comes up, sets a screen here, right? This time, they just decide, okay, we're just going to let Isaiah go to work, right? Just going to let him go to work. And that is just unforgivable by Nikola Vucevic, right? Like, there's no circumstance where Nikola Vucevic should be giving up this offensive rebound. He is on Jalen Duren. That is his man. He is just ball watching. He sees him, and he's just watching that ball go up. He's nowhere near the play. And Jalen Duren's working. Jalen Duren is working. He is always going to be fighting, scratching, clawing, trying to get to that ball, right? That's a finish. That's an authoritative finish. That was really the point where I felt like this game, even with the heroics of Zach LaVine, I felt like this was probably curtains even with 6 minutes to go. Next one here, double dragon transition, semi transition, we'll call it. Duren tries to get the seal. They throw it to him. And again, just a little sharp ball handler, Jalen Duren. Knows what he's doing with the ball, knows how to create, right? Love the action. I love these double drags and semi transition for Isaiah Stewart. Don't, yeah, I think Duren set the first one this time. And then Cade's going to come around. Right now, Duren set the second one. They had Stewart come through. So Stewart here, Duren here, Cade coming around. Right. Vooch playing at the level. They decide to feed the big man when he's working. Yeah, just very simple. Love it. I don't know if you got credit for an assist on that or not, but certainly deserved it. This last one here, I just wanted to finish with a super positive one. Minute left. Star Thompson, just fantastic. And then you've got Jalen Duren. How Nikola Vucevic lets Jalen Duren get behind him in transition, I do not know. But he does. And Jalen Duren is going to play with motor, and he's going to run to the rim, and he's going to go. And you know that. And you're also not stopping the ball. Yeah, this was an ugly fourth quarter from the Bulls. I thought this was a really ugly fourth quarter. Yep, that's how you go. That's everything on Jalen Duren against the Bulls. As you could see, a lot that I really love. I love the motor. I love the energy. I love the athleticism. I love that he doesn't quit on plays, rebounding. I love that he is starting to get better at communicating and talking. You can see things, right? He had that one little breakdown in the third quarter, but then after that, like he had a lot of really positive moments in terms of communicating on defense. I love the passing and ball handling. He had a couple of sick passes. He had the one off of the offensive rebound to Alec Burks. He had the one off of the short roll to a cutting Asar Thompson baseline in the first half. All of these things are so positive for Jalen Duren. And this is why Jalen Duren has all-star upside, right? And I don't think anybody should ever deny that point, that Jalen Duren's upside can be legitimately a multi-time all-star. He just needs to clean some things up defensively. He just needs to get a little bit more active on his feet. Just needs to be a little bit more aggressive, I think, defensively. He needs to work on his verticality as a rim protector, I think. Sometimes he ends up just getting stuck on his feet. And despite the fact that he's damn near, 6'11", 7 foot tall with a 7'5" wingspan, guys like Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic can kind of out high point him when he's protecting the rim, right? If you're that big, you should be able to go up straight and retreat. They need to, whatever they're doing, they need to find a big that can really teach Jalen Duren, in my opinion, how to have those impactful, impressive rim protection moments where he is able to get the most out of his vertical jump and his length. The one thing that we rarely talked about with Jalen Duren on defense was using his vertical jump to impact what an offensive player is doing as a scorer, right? Jalen Duren, you go back, you watch this last play, right? He's getting up off the court, man. Look at where he is high pointing this ball, right? And that's not even he is high up right now. He is very high up with that ball. But he doesn't always use it on defense. And that's the next step for him, I think, is using that length, that leaping ability, that athleticism to be as impactful on defense as he is on offense. Because my God, right now, he has been absolutely spectacular on offense. And I think that this is a real breakout so far from Jalen Duren, and he deserves an immense amount of credit. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know what you think of Jalen Duren. Let me know who you want to see next. As I mentioned on the podcast, I think that the next video I do is probably going to be Tyrese Maxey. Following him, I would bet it might be Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks. So keep it locked here. Let me know who you want to see in the comments. And until next time, we'll talk soon. Bye.